Welcome to Daily Chronicles, your journey through time. Every day carries a story, from world-changing events to moments pop culture will never forget. We uncover the triumphs, tragedies, and turning points that shaped our world. This is Daily Chronicles, where every day tells its tale. On December 1st, 1982, audiences packed into theaters expecting a light comedy. Instead, they walked into a cultural grenade, one detonated by a struggling actor in a dress. This was Tootsie. And behind its glamorous Broadway lights and quick-fire humor lay one of the most chaotic, ego-fueled productions in Hollywood history. A film that almost collapsed a dozen times before becoming the second highest-grossing movie of 1982. But the story didn't start with success. It started with desperation. Michael Dorsey, played by Dustin Hoffman, was a fictional actor who couldn't get hired. But Hoffman, in real life, was facing the very same crisis. After years of arguing on set, refusing direction, and criticizing scripts, he was unofficially considered difficult. Hollywood didn't want to work with him. So when comedian-writer Larry Gelbart pitched a story about a man who disguises himself as a woman to land a job, Hoffman saw something painfully familiar. A mirror. But turning that mirror into a movie? That was pure chaos. Director Sydney Pollack didn't even want to make it. He and Hoffman fought constantly, over tone, over lines, over makeup, over absolutely everything. One production assistant later joked that the film was 2 hours of comedy built on 6 months of arguments. Then came the transformation. It took Hoffman nearly 4 hours each morning to become Dorothy Michaels. Wig, padding, softening makeup, voice training. But once he walked onto the streets of New York in full character, something unsettling happened. Men ignored him. Women treated him like a stranger in their own world. Hoffman said it was the first time he truly understood the gendered power imbalance he'd never seen from the inside. That revelation became the emotional backbone of the film. And audiences felt it, especially in the now iconic scenes with Jessica Lange, who played Julie Nichols. Their chemistry was electric, but their behind-the-scenes tension was just as intense. Lange insisted on multiple rewrites. Hoffman insisted on improvising. Pollack insisted on somehow keeping the movie from exploding. All while Columbia Pictures watched millions of dollars vanish into delays. The budget climbed past $21 million. Huge money for a comedy in the early 80s. At one point, Pollack said flatly, "We don't have a movie." But they kept shooting. And when the first test screening finally happened, the room erupted. People laughed, cried, applauded. Columbia executives walked out stunned. When Tootsie premiered in December 1982, it became a phenomenon. It earned $177 million worldwide, landed 10 Oscar nominations, and gave America one of its most famous comedic lines. "I'm proud to be a woman, and I'm proud to be a man playing a woman." But maybe the real twist is this: a movie born from broken careers, ego wars, and emotional exhaustion ended up teaching an entire generation about empathy. Simply by asking a simple question. What changes when you're finally forced to see the world through someone else's eyes? On December 1st, 2003, a film studio held its breath. Because the final chapter of a trilogy once predicted to bankrupt New Line Cinema was about to become one of the most celebrated movies in history. This was the return of the king. And nothing about its journey to the screen was normal. The danger began years earlier, in 1997, when an ambitious New Zealand director named Peter Jackson convinced New Line to approve something unheard of, shooting 3 epic fantasy films at the same time. No sequels guaranteed, no audience yet won, just one enormous gamble. $281 million up front, the largest undertaking the studio had ever attempted. If it failed, New Line was finished. During the 438 days of shooting, the cast and crew were pushed past exhaustion. Orlando Bloom broke a rib. Viggo Mortensen chipped a tooth and kept acting. Sean Astin nearly drowned filming the lake scene. The production unit consumed over 1,600 pairs of prosthetic hobbit feet and used more than 48,000 sword and weapon props. And still, Jackson wasn't satisfied. By mid-2003, he ordered massive reshoots, entire battles reimagined, including the now iconic Ride of the Rohirrim. Every charge, every scream, every banner flapping in the Pelennor fields was layered in by Weta Digital, who created an estimated 1,488 visual effects shots for the finale alone. All while Jackson slept only a few hours a night. But beneath the spectacle was something even more difficult. Ending a story millions had grown up with. Frodo's descent into obsession. Aragorn accepting a destiny he'd run from his entire life. Gollum. Tragic, manipulative, pitiful, dragging the audience with him into madness. The emotional stakes were colossal, and Jackson knew it. So when The Return of the King premiered in Wellington, New Zealand, on December 1st, 2003, 100,000 people lined the streets. Fans camped for days. The red carpet stretched a staggering 1.2 kilometers, longer than any in film history. Actors cried, technicians cheered. Jackson, wearing his signature shorts, finally exhaled. Then the movie took over the world. It earned $1.14 billion at the global box office, becoming the highest-grossing film of 2003. And at the Oscars, it performed an impossible sweep. 11 nominations, 11 wins, tying Ben-Hur and Titanic, but becoming the only film in history to win every category it was nominated for. But the true victory wasn't gold statues. It was proving that fantasy, once dismissed as childish escapism, could be mythic, emotional, and culturally seismic. It could define an era. It could become cinema. And here's the twist history loves most. New Line bet everything on a trilogy about courage in the face of overwhelming odds, and ended up living that exact story. In December 1953, a brand new magazine hit American newsstands, priced at 50 cents, printed in black ink, and assembled from borrowed photographs. Within hours, it sold out. Not because anyone knew the publisher, but because the first centerfold was Marilyn Monroe. And she didn't even know she was in it. This wasn't just the debut of Playboy. It was the birth of an empire built on risk, timing, and a single controversial image. The story begins with a struggling 27-year-old copywriter named Hugh Hefner. He'd just quit Esquire after they refused him a $5 raise. Armed with $600 of personal savings and another $8,000 scraped together from investors, including $1,000 from his mother, Hefner set up a makeshift office in his Chicago kitchen. But he had one problem: no magazine, no content, no models. Just an idea, a lifestyle publication that treated sexuality not as scandal, but as sophistication. Then he found her. In 1949, a cash-strapped young actress, Norma Jean Mortensen, later Marilyn Monroe, had posed nude for photographer Tom Kelly for $50. The shoot was discreet. The photos were shelved. Monroe moved on, becoming Hollywood's rising blonde star by 1952. But the negatives still existed, and they eventually made their way to a small calendar company. Hefner tracked them down. For $500, he bought the rights to print the now famous Golden Dream nude. No meeting with Marilyn, no contract, no warning. He simply placed her on the centerfold, declared her Sweetheart of the Month, and launched a magazine he wasn't even sure he could afford to print twice. The first issue, dated December 1953, but intentionally left without a number, just in case it failed, hit shelves quietly. Then the country exploded. A recognizable Hollywood star appearing nude? Unprecedented. People didn't buy Playboy. They hunted for it. By the end of the month, over 54,000 copies were gone. Hefner had turned a gamble into a movement, and Monroe, already a symbol of desire, became an icon of forbidden glamour. But behind the glossy fantasy was irony almost too sharp to script. Monroe reportedly made nothing from the magazine's success. No royalties, no negotiations. She later admitted she posed because she couldn't pay her rent. Meanwhile, Hefner used her image to launch a media empire worth tens of millions by the 1960s, complete with mansions, clubs, and political influence. Yet the scandal didn't destroy Marilyn. It made her unstoppable. She owned the story, told the press the truth, and America loved her more for it. Two careers were born that winter, one of Hollywood's brightest stars and one of publishing's most controversial moguls. And maybe that's the lesson hidden inside that first issue. Sometimes the spark that ignites a cultural revolution isn't planned, ethical, or fair. But once it catches fire, the world never looks away again. On December 18, 1956, American audiences walked into theaters expecting a typical musical comedy. Instead, they were hit with something revolutionary. The Girl Can't Help It, starring Jayne Mansfield, was more than a film. It was a cultural earthquake. At first glance, it seemed simple. A glamorous showgirl caught in a gangster's plot, singing and dancing her way through a black and white Technicolor world. But underneath the sequins and spotlight, director Frank Tashlin was quietly detonating Hollywood norms, blending satire, slapstick, and the raw energy of emerging rock and roll. The story began long before the cameras rolled. Jayne Mansfield, a 22-year-old former Playboy model, was contracted by 20th Century Fox for $50,000, roughly $500,000 in today's dollars. She was young, ambitious, and desperate to escape the shadow of Marilyn Monroe, whom critics insisted she imitated. But Mansfield's performance in The Girl Can't Help It didn't just imitate glamour, it became its own explosive statement. Frank Tashlin, who had cut his teeth on Looney Tunes cartoons, infused the film with visual gags that felt animated, even when played by live actors. Cars collided for comic timing. Shadows became punchlines. Dialogue snapped like a whip. He transformed a standard gangster plot into something electric, ironic, and distinctly modern. Then came the music. The film featured legendary performers like Fats Domino, Little Richard, and the Platters, appearing on screen at a time when rock and roll was considered rebellious, even dangerous. Little Richard's performance of Ready Teddy marked one of the first appearances of a black rock artist in a mainstream Hollywood film. The energy on screen wasn't just entertainment. It was a declaration, a statement that the cultural landscape was shifting, and no one, especially not Hollywood, would remain untouched. And yet, the production wasn't smooth. Mansfield arrived late, had to learn choreography on the fly, and constantly demanded adjustments to lighting and wardrobe to enhance her image. Fox worried the budget of $1.5 million would spiral out of control. But Tashlin pushed forward, embracing improvisation and chaos, turning every on-set crisis into cinematic gold. When the film premiered in Los Angeles, audiences laughed, gasped, and danced in their seats. Critics praised Mansfield's charisma and Tashlin's inventive direction. Box office receipts exceeded $3 million, a modest sum by today's standards, but enough to cement the film's legacy. More importantly, it changed the way Hollywood presented young female stars, music, and comedy in one audacious package. Here's the twist few realize: The Girl Can't Help. It wasn't just a musical comedy. It was the blueprint for the future of entertainment. Its influence rippled through pop culture, inspiring everything from James Bond openings to modern music videos. A film about a showgirl trapped in a gangster's world ended up freeing Hollywood from its own conventions. And that's the secret of its enduring power. It wasn't about the plot, the crimes, or even the music. It was about breaking the rules while making the audience think they were having fun, showing us all that sometimes chaos is the most creative force of all.